Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and we are talking about Fallout 76. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patience as we got around to this topic. Certainly, it wasn't going anywhere. So, as the title suggests, I think Fallout 76 is on life support, and that's due to the 2022 roadmap, which recently released. Undoubtedly, this video will rustle some jimmies in the Fallout community. I wanted to put that up front and make it clear here that I'm not here to tell you why you shouldn't play the game or why you shouldn't like it. I don't care if you like it, but my goal as a content creator is to tell people not what they want to hear, what they need to hear. Honesty, transparency, all of that is super important to what we do here. So yeah, you may like Fallout 76. I've noticed that's a common thing. If you're playing Fallout 76, you kind of really like it, and I respect that. But just know I think this game is in a terrible place right now, and the reason we have these conversations is because I love the franchise a lot. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you do also like Fallout, then consider subscribing. Now, let's talk about this 2022 roadmap to really kickstart this discussion here, because once you start to see it all, you'll put the pieces together on where I'm heading. So let's begin by taking a look where in the spring, Invaders from Beyond begins, which is the new public events, Fallout Worlds Update, and Season 9. Just pause right there, because what's interesting about this Invaders from Beyond thing is that's already on the PTS. A lot of people have already seen what this update is, so a lot of the new shock and awe of this update has already come and gone. Then you move into the summer, where it says, test your mettle. New public events, Fallout First scoreboard upgrades. We love Fallout First around here. And Season 9 comes out. So nothing really happening yet. You may notice a bit of an omission thus far, which is last year's announced expansion called The Pit, which a lot of people thought was going to be a brand new Fallout game, but it's actually an expansion type of update for Fallout 76, and that's coming out in the fall, which there's a big question mark there. I wonder why. I'll get into it, but it says here in the fall that the Expedition's Pit arrives with new missions, new rewards, and Season 10. And then last but not least, we have in the winter, Nuka World on Tour, which introduces, again, new public events, region boss public events, and Season 11. Yeah, so I think I don't need to speak any longer on why this game is clearly on life support, but I'm going to anyway, because I would go insane if I didn't just fully explain myself here. So obviously it looks like 2022 is the quality of life enhancement year for Fallout 76, because that's all this practically is outside of one update. And a lot of people thought that the Pit was going to be this big DLC-sized update that was going to bring you to a new location with plenty to explore. And based off the structure here of missions, it sounds like you're going to accept a mission in Appalachia that's going to send you to little spots in the Pit, which I do think can be a setup to really underwhelm here. But probably the biggest issue I have of them all, why I think this game is clearly on life support, is not even the lacking of content, but rather when they're releasing their biggest update for Fallout 76. Because, again, this game, whether you love it or hate it, you need to understand it needs any W it can secure, right? So Wastelanders was a W. I thought that was a pretty solid update. A good restart for the game. Got some people on board. Since then, it's been downhill. There's been some bright spots. I thought the initial Steel Dawn update was pretty solid, continuing kind of what Wastelanders had set up, but otherwise it has just been few and far between with anything of note in this game. And as you see them clearly making steps forward, they're only walking back, rather, into what Fallout traditionally was, with NPCs, with quest lines, with exploring new locales. Every type of mold they tried to break with this game's launch, they have successfully gone back to what the traditional Fallout formula was, which again is why this game is so clearly on life support, because they're going back to the well, to what worked. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to work here. And the reason for that is because the Pit is releasing next to a little game. You may have heard of it, called Starfield. Of course, among everything else that we don't know about coming out around the fall-winter time, Starfield, the next big Bethesda Game Studios game. Why the hell are you launching anything from Bethesda Game Studios on a Fallout 76 level in the vicinity of that? I get the mindset, right? Because fall could probably hit around September, where Fallout 76 is typically lingered. Sure. Okay, sure. Why not? But like, that's right in the prime hype time potentially of Starfield, leading up to October, November, where things are really getting hot, like Starfield's about to be here, baby, and you drop the big Fallout 76 update then, like, what chance does it stand then? Of course, you need to make sure it's properly tested and it works right. But man, if they could have got this out in the summer, things would have looked a little bit different here. But otherwise, that's the bigger problem, is I don't think this would have been too big of a deal that I'm having here, but it speaks to the main issue of the game, which is everything surrounding it is not there. There's nothing but quality of life enhancements and new public events in each of these seasons. That's insane to me. I can't believe it. But perhaps crazier is when you start to take a look around. For those who have paid attention to Fallout 76, like myself, since its launch, Bethesda has a mounting list of promises that they have not delivered on, and it is really starting to show where even the hardcore community is going, what's happening here? Okay, let's take a look at, I don't know, modding, a Bethesda Game Studio staple. Hey, check out this headline from 2018. Fallout 76 mods might not arrive until November 2019. Wow. Well, fuck. It's 2022 now, and they're still not here, and there's no word of them even being on the roadmap. Let's read some quotes here. This is from Pete Hines. He says, speaking to GameSpot, mod support is going to be tied to work that we're doing on private servers and letting people do private servers. Mods will be a thing that run on private servers. I don't foresee a universe in which we allow players to come into Fallout 76's public servers with their own unique and different mods. If you want to run mods, they'll have to be done on a private server. You'll be deciding what sort of mods you're including and running, and everyone playing on that server is playing with those mods. Seems like it's going to be a lot of work and something that they hadn't figured out. And mind you, this interview was done in a pre-nuclear winter world. Now, I go on record as saying probably one of the best updates that Fallout 76 got outside of Wastelanders was nuclear winter. It was actually a fun battle royale mode, which was stunning. But clearly they had other plans because they were trying to market Fallout in so many wrong ways that just won't work with this series. And then they finally realized it well too late in 2020 with Wastelanders. See what I'm saying? Like, look at the order of operations here, but it's not just mods. There's also stuff like pets. Here's an article published at the beginning of 2021 called Fallout 76 Camp Pets will include dogs, then cats, and potentially fan requests. This is a year ago, almost. And they still haven't got around to it, right? And you look at some of the things that they're talking about in the Reddit AMA. They say, we have some fun things in the works for pets. Design director Mark Tucker responded, over time, we want to provide a wide variety of different types of pets that you can customize and have in both your camps and your shelters. And all I see in this 2022 roadmap, public events, public events, public events. And you're telling me, like, even the players who love this game, you're trying to tell me this game's hanging around much longer? Look, as far as I'm concerned, they're going to get mod support in there and they're going to get the hell out. Because what's happening here is Fallout 76 is surviving by that tight fan base, right? Which is paying for Fallout first, which is going into the Atomic Shop and buying items there, which is, of course, going into the scoreboard and buying tiers there. It's the ugliest trifecta in modern gaming, and Fallout 76 epitomizes all of that, right? When you look at that, that is what's keeping this game alive. It has never grown, though. It is only slowly netted in the occasional Fallout fan who says, I'll try it. But otherwise, since Wastelanders, it's only gone on the decline. Of course, it's technically in a better spot than it was in the beginning. I completely agree with that. But the reality is, as a business, which again, I don't think many people are going to be very accepting of, but as a business, Bethesda has to be realistic with themselves and go, this isn't really going anywhere. And of course, my theory, as it has been for probably 2 years now, is they're going to keep running this thing, hopefully get mods out for it, and then the Fallout remasters will arrive, because that's the killing blow. When they announce a new Fallout game, I can't imagine that many people sticking around. I really can't. Why would you stay with 76, which is the only current thing? Like, even I've succumbed to it because it's the only thing that's giving us new Fallout stuff. Because Fallout kicks ass. We want more Fallout, but we can't get it. So you just dive into 76 just trying to get a fix. Like, okay, let's see what this is all about. And it never works for many people like myself because you just realize it's not what you're searching for. And I think Bethesda understands that. I think Xbox understands that, and they go, yeah, If we released a new Fallout game, that's going to kill this player base. And as they're slowly whittling away features, I wouldn't be surprised in like 2 years' time if they're sitting there going, so now we're sunsetting Fallout 76's services here. Because when you look at something like, let's talk about Final Fantasy 14, right? It relaunched kind of like a Wastelanders moment, if you want a comparison, right, with Realm Reborn. They re-release it. Yes, this is much better. And then they had the framework which they built upon and built upon and built upon to be the biggest MMORPG on the market. And now, all these years into its life, guess what they freaking did? They announced a 10-year plan. A 10-year plan saying we're supporting this game for this much longer. There's no shot you're seeing Bethesda do that because they can't with this game, because they know they're just waiting for the chance to get out. That's why you release an update in the shadow of Starfield, when you're just trying to hide the product, get people to forget about it, distract them away from it. That's why you're not getting high investment updates, because honestly, I can't blame Bethesda. Why are they going to add such substantial pieces of content that require a lot of resource investment when the game isn't growing? You can't do that. You can only go downsize more to hopefully catch a player base and build it up and then go up more. You can't just invest a ton of assets and money into something that is really a chance you're taking. It just doesn't function like that, especially in the business world. So that's why I think Fallout 76 is on life support. Everything to me is pointing at the idea that this game is dying. It is dying. And that's sad, right? Because while a lot of us are upset with what the product is now, I remember before the game was coming out, I was kind of excited about it. I thought, you know, whenever my Bethesda YouTuber friends and I got together, we were like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could play Fallout in co-op? And I think the solution here was sometimes ideas don't need to be too big. Something like Fallout 76, which they said where they were originally trying to add co-op to Fallout 4, it should have just been a co-op update to Fallout 4. I think that would have been great, honestly. I still would like that. It's just a nice co-op update, because as much as I love Fallout 4, it is in a lot of ways just kind of like shoot and loot, shoot and loot. I would love to see them figure something out there. That would have been way smarter, but instead they built a whole game off that idea, and now we're seeing the repercussions of those actions. And it's really sad. It really is sad, because, again, as I've talked about ad nauseum, the future is kind of grim, right? We don't see anything in the near future. There is the reports of Fallout New Vegas 2 being talked about. There's nothing on the ground yet, but being talked about. Of course, before that, it would make sense to hit some Fallout remasters, but those could be a ways away. So there's a lot of waiting to be done, and so they'll try to keep this thing around until that point in time. Again, I'm putting 2 years on it. You can hold me to it. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. But that's all I've got to say about Fallout 76. I've spoken enough on this game, so now I pass it to you. Fire away with your thoughts. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.